Fish on Fridays. I'm McCauley. And if you've watched even a few past episodes of Fish on Fridays, you know how I love to take pieces of art, of Christian art, and break them down and talk about them a little bit. And I came across one recently. It's a relatively new piece of art, actually from 2005, from a German artist named Koder. And it's just simply called The Washing of Feet. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful painting. And I want to talk about it a little bit. And what we're seeing here is the story from John's Gospel, specifically the beginning of chapter 13, so verses 120. At the beginning of the Last Supper, what we're told is that Jesus is going to wash his disciples' feet. And this is very well known. This is a very well-known story. And it only occurs, Jesus only washes the feet. That story only occurs in John's Gospel. It doesn't occur in Matthew, Mark, or Luke. What's fascinating, just to step back a minute and look at this, what's fascinating about this story and relative to John's Gospel is John has three parts to his gospel. There's the prologue, then there's the first part, which is called the Book of Signs, in which Jesus performs his public ministry and the miracles or signs that he performs. There are 7 of them that John indicates. And the second part of John's Gospel is called the Book of Glory. And the Book of Glory starts in chapter 13 with this incident of Jesus washing feet. It's as if to say John, the gospel writer John, wants us to know that if we want glory, the very first thing we have to do is serve others. The very first thing we have to do is wash feet, metaphorically. It's fascinating, just as an aside, my wife and I, when we got married well over 31 years ago, this was the gospel that we chose to have read at our wedding. And it sounds kind of strange to have the washing of the feet at the Last Supper at your wedding, but what do you do in a marriage more than wash each other's feet? You're there to serve each other and to be humble in front of each other. And so we use that as our model. And my wife and I talk about this frequently, about washing each other's feet. This is what we're called to do. But if we look back at this painting, what I love about this painting is that it shows Jesus hunched over, bent over, in a humble pose, washing one of the disciples' feet. Now, what's fascinating, too, about John's Gospel is you will not hear anything in John's Gospel about Jesus taking bread and wine and breaking them and sharing them. That's in the other Gospels, but it's not in John's. John's Gospel focuses at the Last Supper on this act. In other words, in order to be Eucharist, in order to be the body of Christ, we have to wash each other's feet. We have to humble ourselves and we have to serve others. That's really what it means to be Eucharist. It absolutely means that this is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus, that when we have the consecration, all that's absolutely vital. But it's as important, John wants us to know, that what are we becoming what we receive? Do we become the body of Christ? In other words, are we serving others now? Are we inspired by that Eucharist to go out and to wash feet? In essence, we become walking, talking tabernacles when we receive the body of Christ. And a tabernacle means to dwell. So is Christ dwelling in us? If that's the case, we have to be like Christ and wash feet. And that's what I love about this particular painting, because you can't see Christ's face in the painting except as a reflection in the water of the basin. Almost as if to say Jesus, his whole image is inside of the service that he does. You can see Christ in the service that he does, the way he served others. And so it begs the question, how are we an image or a reflection of Christ in how we serve others? Could people recognize our handiwork as Christians, if you will? Like the old cliche says, if you could be arrested today for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? It's an interesting question to think about, especially in light of what happened at the Last Supper in the washing of the feet. How do we daily live the Eucharist? It should be a reflection of us. Our Christianity should be a reflection of our actions, of our words, how we treat others. That's what it means to fully be Eucharist and to serve others, to wash feet. So there you go. Another beautiful painting to think about, to sit with, to contemplate, to pray about perhaps. But just a fantastic painting filled with a lot of good stuff there. So if you feel like sharing this content, that would be great. We'd love it. We'd love it if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook. But either way, please keep washing feet. Please keep washing feet. Be good to each other, and God bless.